Right, I got a little 12 volt USB because when I'm parked up I can't use the USB 2 sockets over there because it runs on the mains, and the inverter socket hasn't got USB in it. It has at the back but not at the front. They are quite expensive to change those over. They're about £18 each, and I wasn't prepared to pay that as yet. So I've got a 12 volt USB port. I can plug straight into my leisure battery in there and be able to run the phone and the pad and everything off the desk, off the table, and also the front seat swivels around so I can come from that side as well. None of that, it'll also run the dash cam if I need it, charge the cameras up, everything. So it's only a double socket, and it's, I can't remember what volt amperage that one was, but anyway, it'll work. And I'm going to leisure battery fuse with that one, which is good, it's on its own harness. And yeah, I bought some fuses, look. Bought some fuses. God knows what I did with the rest of them. Earth terminal. In the right socket all. don't have to take it all the way out because I've put a U-shaped one on there. It's come in. If I can just get the others out of the way. Two up. It would have been a lot easier if I could find my tech bit. Is it in there? Nope. I've lost that somewhere. What better way to try it out than with my Sony charger. So we need to plug it back in, if I can find it. Okay, what have you done with the wiring? There it is. It plugs in on a simple 2-pin plug. Lights come on. Yep. Working. If I can get the light out of it, that's it. It's working. The battery's up on there. Alright. Put it in the dashboard, out of the way now. Right. You start by pushing it through the hole to there, line up the 2 tabs and click. It's there. I'm going to turn it up the other way so it's nice and round on the top. There you go. Tuck these wires nice and tidy down that side. I'm going to put another screw in that one mount. Right. There you go, that's better. Right. That goes down the side of there. Right, a lot of you asked why all these little dangly bits are here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's a brown, black, green, white. What it is before I insulated and before I boarded, I ran a 7-core cable from the front, from this box, that's it there, right the way down to the back, and in locations along the side of the wall where I thought I would need to come out, I left a loop so I could cut into the loop, strip the black off, pick a wire relating to up here, so the red's been used, the blue's been used, and the yellow's been used. One of them is running right the way through off the van battery power direct to the back, and that's to run the trailer plugs. The blue is going back off the ignition side, and that's going back to run the reversing cameras, and the red one is running back with it's coming from the leisure battery. I connected it to the leisure battery in the back, and that's what's powering this fuse box. So it's coming direct off the leisure battery, so I could run the power forwards or backwards. And now I've still got the 4 spare wires that if I need power from the front off the van or anything like that, I can take it from the van and run it right the way to the back without any having to rewire, tuck wires in, hide them. So hence the reason I always do that. With every van I've built, I've always put a 7-core cable all the way to the back, and when you're drawing the plans out, you put down on there where you want the loops, and you might have to move them eventually, but I always leave a big enough loop that I can tap into it, and I can tap into it anywhere along the van. So there's why those 4 spare wires are still hanging. There's no power to them whatsoever, you know, they're just loose at the back as well. if I need to connect anything else, I can do. Right, I'll plug the I'll come back around here so you can see this side. There you go. I've connected him in there, and if I get my charger, where did I just put my charger again? If I can get it to stay there. I can't get it to stay there. Not without using two hands. I'll see if I can put it down somewhere. Jigsaw. Right. So as soon as I plug him in, let's have a look which way up we are. That way up. No, that one. No, that one. There you go. There you go. Power. Put in number 2 cone cutter. Now that one goes up to 1.25 inches, I think it is. So, but he is bloody sharp. He does have your fingers. You bigger. Stanley, clean the burrs off, get rid of the carpet. Surprised the coal cutter just won't cut the carpet. It'll go through it, but it won't cut it. Let's have a look. There he goes. There he goes. Look at that then, eh? Now we've got a flag light to that side. But of course that one only runs on the ignition. I've got it running on the ignition for when because I plugged the dash cam, the one that's behind the seats, to give me dash view and myself catch me in the corner, the one that you always see on the YouTube at the moment. Of course that only comes on with the ignition. Once the engine started, it comes on, and of course when I turn the ignition off, it goes off. The other one in the window is on 24/7 because that one is Wi-Fi, and I got movement sensors on it that it sets an alarm off in the house and automatically views it up on the screen. That's just to be on the safe side, like, because I live on a bloody council estate. There we go. Earth is the outside one, and live is the centre pin. Right. Yep. Now I can put my screw back in. Never finds the same hole twice. There you go. Now the next base plugs straight into him. He's down far enough away from the fridge switch. Oh, super glue ain't dry on that yet. It's drying on my finger bloody quick. There you go. Right. The seat base. I mean, the battery terminals are a long way away from. The battery terminals are a long way away from the any metal. But of course, there is a lid that goes on it, and I don't know whether you can see it, but all the grooves have worn away. So I'm just going to cut the grooves off and slide it in on the top, just to keep the battery terminals insulated away from it, just in case a nut and bolt or something drops down in there. But I don't think I'll display that one. Show you that one. Go. That's in. Hoover's in. That one runs off the ignition. My seat base is now in. I'll slide the seat back now. And the only thing I've got left to do is put, I've got a triple cigarette lighter to go in there, because my laptop runs off a cigarette lighter, charges off the cigarette lighter, and I don't want it running on that because I've got to have the ignition on for that one. So I shall have, I got a triple here somewhere, it's finding it, and with independent switches, so that will most probably just sit on the top because there's enough room between the table and the top of that fuse box. I only took the fuse box up to the top of the side panel. So, and it's the day after the second blast from the east, and look at it, I'm getting nearly 3 amps. Yeah, 3 amps. It's just gone. The sun's just gone in. 3 amps of solar. They're showing the battery's fully charged. Get in 13.5, 13.6 on the leisure batteries, and it's now charging. I don't know if I can find the fag lighter again. Oh, get out of the way, you. There it is. 13.6 on the fan battery. That little box there on the Mark 7 is what they call the customer consumer box, and you're supposed to undo the clip, and anything you run off the batteries runs off there. But I didn't want to use it because that meant the wires are going to be sticking out in the van instead of coming out in that corner. They'd be coming across the back outside the seat, so I didn't want it. That's the only reason why I didn't use the consumer box.